Welcome back to the deep dive, where we dig into all those articles and books and stuff and pull out the good stuff, the gold nuggets of knowledge. I'm your host, Steven. And today, well, we're going deep on a question that's like been around forever, but it feels even more like relevant now with all the craziness and chaos in the world today. And that is there like a good reason, a solid reason to believe in God these days? I
Mhm.
think we've all had those moments, where doubt just kind of like creeps in. I mean, just the other week I was stuck in this ridiculously long line at the grocery store. And I like literally taught myself thinking like, if there's some big divine plan, why am I stuck behind like the slowest cashier in the world? The existential crisis just hits you in like the most random places. But all kidding aside, there are some pretty compelling arguments out there for belief, even when it seems like everyone's default is to be skeptical. And we're going to like unpack some of those arguments today and see what we learn.
One of the most common, objections to belief is the problem of suffering. Like, if there's a loving God, why is there so much pain and injustice in the world? Yeah, it's a question that's like haunted people for centuries. But author and pastor Timothy Keller, he tackles this like head on in his book of The Reason for God. Belief in an Age of Skepticism. Keller says that, while suffering is definitely like a real thing, it doesn't automatically mean that there's no God. He points out that suffering can actually like make us more compassionate, more empathetic, and push us to like fight for justice and make the world a better place. He even suggests that like the whole idea of good and evil, points to something bigger than us. Like if there's no like ultimate standard of right and wrong, then suffering being bad is just like someone's opinion. Now another common objection that Keller talks about is the idea that Christianity is like the only true religion a lot of people struggle with. That, the idea that one religion could be the right one and others are wrong, it feels kind of like intolerant and divisive. But Keller offers a different way of looking at it. He says that Christianity saying it's exclusive isn't about being arrogant or intolerant. It's about the belief that Jesus offers like a unique path to connect with God, a path that's not found in other belief systems. He's clear that this belief doesn't mean that other faiths aren't valuable or sincere. It just means that Christians believe Jesus offers something different and essential. First, we can't talk about faith today without talking about science. Can faith and science actually like get along? Some people see them as totally opposite, like science is based on reason and evidence, and faith is based on faith. But Keller disagrees with that separation. He says that science and faith aren't enemies; they're just different ways of understanding the world. Science is about figuring out how the universe works, and faith is about grappling with the why. He points out that tons of great scientists throughout history have also been really religious people. They didn't see any conflict between their science and their faith. In fact, Keller thinks that a worldview where science is like the only source of truth actually creates its own problems. Like if the universe is just a random bunch of atoms, where do things like meaning and purpose and morality come from? Those questions show the limits of science in answering the really deep questions about human existence. But there's another layer to this deep dive. The podcast Chaptered Minds, they did a cool episode on Keller's book, and they brought up something that really stuck with me. They highlighted Keller's idea that doubt isn't the enemy of faith, it can actually help faith grow. Yeah, it's like that saying, smooth seas don't make skillful sailors. If our beliefs are never like challenged, how can they really get stronger? Keller says that wrestling with doubts can actually lead us to a deeper understanding of our faith. It's in those moments when we're struggling and questioning things that we really have to face what we believe and why.
It's kind of like if your belief system is built on shaky ground, any little bit of doubt can make the whole thing fall apart. But if you've got a solid foundation, if you've really thought about the tough questions and come out on the other side, then your faith becomes unshakable. It can handle anything. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, I think it's that, the journey of faith isn't about blindly accepting things or avoiding tough questions. It's about really engaging with those questions, wrestling with doubts, and ultimately coming to a deeper, more meaningful understanding of what we believe. If this deep dive has you curious, I definitely recommend checking out Keller's book, The Reason for God. And if you're short on time, the Chaptered Minds episode is a great way to get a taste of what he's talking about. Who knows? You might be surprised by where this whole journey of faith takes you until next time. Keep those minds curious and keep on learning.